Making practical changes to my routine was vital to me saving more money. But changing my attitude and ways of thinking about money was really where I started to see my savings grow and spending reduce. Because for me, practical steps like buying the cheaper option and cutting back on things that I liked was really only as possible as my willpower allowed. So going to the root of my spending and saving habits was where I knew it would be the most effective ultimately. So today in this video, I wanted to share some of those behavioral changes and ways of thinking I've made to save more money. But first, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism, frugal living, tech, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and please stream snipe the subscribe button. Let's get started. Redefine what's normal. I think redefining what was normal for me is really where living a more frugal life started. I knew that cutting out my daily stops at the corner store before work and making changes to what was normal for my own routine was one of the best first steps I used to cut back on that needless spending. And instead of keeping up with the latest trends as far as clothes and technology, I wanted to make saving just as much as possible a normal part of my routine whenever I got paid. A point where it was so routine I was hardly thinking about it. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that we're constantly around things that we're led to believe are normal spending habits, but are not always in our greater financial interests. We're surrounded by people and ads who suggest eating at restaurants every day is normal, and that upgrading our phones every year is normal, and that ridiculously high car payments are normal. And it just took me some time to realize that there is no baseline normal when it comes to saving and spending, only whatever we set for ourselves. And one good thing I really like to think about when I have that feeling of missing out is that I'm not missing out. I'm choosing to opt out. I'm choosing to prioritize saving and long-term goals over short-term spending and satisfaction. Get comfortable with a little bit of awkward. I know that for me, some of my greatest moments of weakness as far as spending goes were those times I was either with a group of friends or a few people who were buying or paying for something I either couldn't or didn't want to. That being said, I definitely wish in those moments I was just a little more honest where I wasn't comfortable spending and just dealt with whatever awkwardness came along with that. On that same note, I think good friends wouldn't make you feel weird in that scenario anyways. This meant occasionally skipping on going to get food when I wasn't hungry, and the outing I wasn't interested in, or anything like that. Ultimately, not saying yes just to avoid feeling awkward. I think most friends would appreciate this type of honesty anyways, and transparency, so being comfortable with a little bit of awkwardness might be a good skill to develop. Before I continue, I want to give thanks to the sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN. With over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, it's one of the best VPNs out there. A VPN is essential to protect your digital privacy. Your internet provider, public Wi-Fi, and websites can track everything you do online, even in incognito mode. Select one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will even know about your online activity. I've been using a VPN for as long as I can remember, and using CyberGhost, I'm able to be protected across my devices wherever I am. And aside from all the security benefits a VPN provides me, one of my favorite features is that I've been able to connect to a Dutch VPN to watch The Office for the 4th time on Netflix. CyberGhost unlocks geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney+. I feel like I've always heard about people using VPNs for streaming services, so when I was bedridden for a month, I did buy a month of Netflix. And combined with a VPN, it was almost like having several different streaming services all at once, because of how many different shows I had access to, as well as even finding better deals online simply by changing my virtual location. And when it comes to saving money, CyberGhost is highly affordable. Using my link in the description, you're getting their best deal ever at just $2.03 a month, plus 4 months free, as well as highly supporting this channel. There's even a 45-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no reason not to at least try out the benefits of a VPN. Once again, I'll have a link for that in the description box. I highly recommend giving it a try. Thanks again to CyberGhost VPN for keeping me protected. Stop caring what people think. This point has a little bit to do with getting comfortable in awkward situations, but not caring what people think, especially strangers, is the most liberating feeling, and at least in my case, had a huge impact on my behavior with spending and saving. Because if you think about it, a very good amount of spending is driven by image, either trying to look successful or fitting in some way. Even if you already know this, sometimes a healthy reminder is necessary that nobody cares about what you drive, wear, or own. And I've definitely noticed this is something that gets much easier the older you get. I cared way too much about clothes in high school. Once you stop worrying about keeping up, you gain the space to make decisions based on your values and not other people's expectations. Before any purchase, I recommend just taking a second to consider if this is something that will actually provide some value for you, or if it's for the sake of your image or perception. Make every dollar work for you. I know I reference this book a lot, but the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, had a chapter about making every dollar work for you. And I really couldn't get this out of my head after thinking about it. At least my own interpretation of it means to save or invest everything that I can in some type of way. Whether literally putting money into a savings account or investing it into an investment account, or even investing in something that benefits my job or productivity. One thing that especially helped me with this was having my own method of automation. Making sure that the very first thing I did when I got paid was transferring as much as I could afford to directly into my savings, no exceptions. Frugality to me now can be used as leverage because by being intentional now, each dollar saved buys me time, freedom, or peace of mind later. A big problem I struggle with, and I'm still working on it, is feeling so attached to the savings that I've built over years and just being afraid to take any sort of risk with it. Learning to make every dollar work for me has addressed this issue. And it doesn't even have to mean exactly saving or investing. Like I mentioned earlier, if this purchase means something that'll make your day-to-day easier at work, I still think it might be worth it. This point for me was to be more intentional with where my money was going and seeing how it benefited my day-to-day routines or long-term goals. Saying no isn't a bad thing. And I definitely feel like this is something else that most people know, but need to be reminded of it. This was my favorite takeaway from the book Essentialism when I was making a lot of videos about essentialism. Something that I read recently that sounds kind of harsh, but is still really true is you don't own anyone your wallet or weekend. And to me, that means declining social outings or expensive plans doesn't make you rude, it makes you clear on your priorities. And of course, there's some moderation to this. There's a fine line between being frugal or careful with your money and completely missing out on fun plans with your friends or family. Learning to say no to things like lifestyle inflation or commitments I didn't really want to be a part of has ultimately led to me being a little bit better at saving money, as well as more intentional with my time. Redefine wins. And this is arguably the most important thing out of anything on this list. Because for me, redefining wins ultimately affected how I felt about every single step or milestone that I made during my savings process. In the early stages of aggressively saving, I never really felt like I was making a lot of progress, either because I set my goals way too high, or just made plans for something rather unrealistic for the time. Setting a much lower bar as a savings goal is much more practical and nonetheless is still a savings goal, no matter how little. Something I started doing myself is to look at my savings milestones in smaller increments. Celebrate every $300 or $500 saved instead of every few thousand. I noticed this helped me stay much more motivated and realized that those bigger savings goals are just a bunch of small ones combined over time. A win for me was, and honestly still is, something as simple as paying off a credit card or transferring $100 into my savings account. Not every goal or win had to be something that would take years to accomplish, because every dollar saved or invested is progress in some way. And don't forget to use the link in the description to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is granting watchers of this channel. This application will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all geo-blocked content on the internet for just $2.03 a month only. Totally risk-free, so check it out. Link is in the description box. These are just a few of the things I implemented that positively affected my behavior with saving money. Ultimately, I don't think saving needs to be overcomplicated with some very sophisticated system in place, but just having a lot of consistency. Anyways, as always, I appreciate the time you spent here and I appreciate you watching. If you did like this video and you like this type of content, be sure to like and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.